Hey everyone, welcome to today's live edition of Topics on My Mind. And I am proud to say, and if you see it down there, I am proud to say it's the first ever one with super chats because, yes, as of last night, late last night into today, um, I have finally monetized my channel, and there is a reason for that. Um, Basically 2 days ago on Wednesday, 2 days ago on Wednesday, the 14th, it marked 1 month since I was let go from my job because of what I did, and I guess for other reasons. The thing is, when I tell my family about it, it's like they look at it like there's just something doesn't add up to them. They're like, just it just doesn't feel like something adds up. You know, because you would think, all right, someone like me should, someone like me or that did what I did. Um, Basically, you would think someone like me. What I was trying to say, um, that who did what I did, you think they would have been pointed out before, like they would have been pulled aside way beforehand, as I mentioned before, and then talked to and basically given a warning or coaching or whatever, so that maybe they could prevent that person, me in this case, from continuously doing what I did. But they didn't. And again, what's even more interesting, as my family has pointed out, what's even more interesting is the fact that basically they waited until like certain people that are usually there when I worked weren't there anymore or weren't there, period. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys on that one. But yeah, it just felt weird. You know, my mom, even like I mentioned before, looked at my schedule and sometimes how my hours were reduced, and she said to herself, or she kind of said to herself, and then she mentioned it to me, um, that basically it felt it felt like they were getting ready to release me. It's like, in her opinion, from what she told me, she felt like she was asking herself, are they going to release him? Are they going to fire him? What's going on? And again, they waited until basically certain people were not there to release me. They waited until the CSM who's the same age as I am and gets along great with me. They waited till she was gone. They waited till basically, like I said, they waited till she was gone and off that day. And and again, it's almost like things just don't add up. You know what I'm saying? Things like, wait a minute, why didn't you wait until this person came back? Came back a day or two later from being off. Why didn't you wait till then? That's what's throwing people off a lot about what happened. And it still kind of throws me off a little bit because it's like, wait a minute, you know, you I'm thinking, why didn't they wait until my CSM, who's the team leader, the front team leader, a front end team leader, came in and talked and kind of maybe saved my job? Because I think my belief, guys, my belief is if she would have been there, honestly, I think I would still be working. I would still be working right now. But that's hard to say. She's just a front end team leader, and there's not really much she can do. There's not really much say she has. as I just check the camera here a little bit. But like I said, there's not really much say she has or anything like that. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where it felt odd, it felt out of place, and honestly, like I told my mom, it felt, even though I was sad and upset, what was unusual about it, unlike all my other departures from previous jobs, like when my job at Fufules, I quit. I didn't technically quit or anything. A little short story on that. Basically, we were told back in 2005 that Fufules was our location, was one of the locations that was being shut down, even though we were in a college city, Lawrence, Kansas, home of the Kansas Jayhawks. Even though we were located there, we were being shut down. And I think it was because we were also in competition with Dillon's, which is the equivalent of Lucky's or Albertson's, Carsco, out there. So, yeah, basically, I still technically had a job. I mean, one time I went into the Walmart in Lawrence, Kansas, which I would work in a year later, and I bumped into one of my managers who said, "Hey, they want to see if you want to come back, just to finish out the day, just finish out, finish out the rest of the year, be there when the door's shut." And I told him, look, I appreciate it, but I didn't want to be there, honestly, on that final day, because it would have been a lot worse. It would have been a lot more emotionally worse for me, along with everybody else, because we were losing our jobs. And a lot of us were given the option to go transfer to other stores, but I couldn't work in Leavenworth, Kansas, because that was further than Lawrence was to Oskaloosa. So, and there was no options in Topeka, So I ended up being without a job for a while, for about almost a year, or a little over almost a year. And then I worked at the Walmart in Lawrence, Kansas. And then after that, I was gone. I was out of work for about 6.5 years. I would work doing some pressure washing with my, my brother-in-law and my sister and their business, where they would go and they would wash trucks for Comcast/Xfinity and other places. And they would go all over the Bay Area. They would go to Petaluma. They would go to Oakland. They would go to San Francisco. They would go to Concord, Pittsburgh, you name it. They went everywhere. So basically, I what I'm trying to get at is basically, with that one exception, on occasions, which was occasional, which wasn't an occasional kind of job, I didn't work for almost 16. I didn't have a legit, nothing against my brother-in-law's job. It's a great job, and and there's no doubt and my brother-in-law's birthday's today, so I got to wish him a happy birthday on Facebook soon. But like I said, basically, what was again? Oh yeah, basically, to some, it's not a real legit job, because even though you're contracted to go do this and that for other companies, to some, it's not a real legit job, because all you're doing is just driving around and washing cars and all that, and that's fine and it's great. And you make a good living out of it in some cases, and a lot of people do it. I mean, there are a lot of businesses, believe me. When I was working with my brother-in-law, there was like a couple of trucks, sometimes a little bit bigger, about the same size or whatever, that would go by us on the highway, and they would have the same, and they would basically be the very same business. And I think there was always like some kind of a competition at times to see who would land what contracts. Anyway, though, basically, what was I getting at? Yeah, but basically, it was a job. I'll put it that way. But it wasn't like, but it wasn't what people would consider a legit job, like one to where what your schedule is. You possibly have benefits and all that, what, and that you primarily have one destination and directive that you're doing. To a lot of people, it's not like that. I mean, it's a job that pays, but it's a job that's not like on the levels of a Walmart or a Save Mart or a Lucky's or Dillon's or whatever. So, basically, with that being the one employment that I had, when it comes to, I guess it's like I said, as people would look at it, legit jobs, if you will, it was just like, it was just I don't want to say anything bad, but it was basically not in the league of real legit, you get everything you need kind of job out there. But like I said, it was a job, and I appreciated the opportunity. After that, like I said, in between that, I finally ended up working at the Walmart in Patterson, and I worked from basically February 18th, 2014 to last month, which was September 14th, 2020. So yeah, it's been one of those years. It was one of the, but yeah, that's how long I was at the job. I was there for about 6.5 years. And I've also looked at the fact that, and I believe this, and I've mentioned this before, I think over time, maybe not immediately, maybe even not at this moment, but I know over time, those that I've worked with that know I'm capable of doing what I can, that I'm able to do whatever they need me to do, they're not going to be there much longer. And it's not because they're going to get let go. It's mainly they're going to look back at what happened to me, what's happened to others before me, and they're going to be like, you know what? How can we trust this job if they're willing to remove these people for just simple mistakes, But anyway, it's been about a month, like I said, this past Wednesday, since I lost my job, or since I was removed. But as I was mentioning, what I told my mom is, when, unlike all the other jobs, and I know I went a little off the off topic a little bit, off track a little bit here, but and I was stumbling over my words. I do apologize. That's why I have some Coca-Cola with me. But basically, what was I getting? Oh yeah, but basically, like I said, what was I trying to? Oh yeah. I would not be surprised if people start leaving. In other words, not being let go, but giving the notices and the fact that they're going elsewhere, that they're going to work elsewhere, because they can't trust this job with their future if they're willing to let go of people that over simple mistakes, or mistakes that could easily be remedied. I mean, some people will look at me taking something like this and a sandwich or a candy bar without paying for it and be like, okay, that's wrong. Let's talk to him. Okay, that's wrong for him to do. Let's talk to him. Let's pull him aside, because they know that if they give me a warning or coaching or whatever, it's going to help make sure I don't do this ever again. But two, it's also because they know something like this is chump change compared to even more expensive items, if you know what I mean. Anyway, getting back on that, but anyway, yeah, this past Wednesday, it's been about, like I said, about a month since I was at Go. And then yesterday, it was about a month since I last applied to monetize my channel. And I've mentioned this before, I'll mention it again. The reason I never was, in a hurry to monetize my channel, even when I didn't have work, the reason I wasn't much in a hurry to do that was, like a lot of people have talked about, everybody was kind of unsure about the algorithms and the analytics and statistics and all that when it came to wanting to make some finances off your channel, off your videos. And I was kind of reluctant at first. It's not because of that or anything, but I didn't want to risk maybe losing my channel. And again, YouTube and places like Daily Motion and Vimeo that do this, we're going through a lot of different changes behind the scenes on how they could help people monetize their channel without probably losing it. And, again, I was reluctant to do so even when I was working. I mean, I know there were some people that I subscribed to here on YouTube, like Rob the Wonderful and several others that have actual jobs outside of what they do on YouTube. But the reason they monetize their channel on YouTube is to make that extra money on the side. So I can understand that. I can understand that and everything. But with me working at the Big W at Walmart for as long as I was, I felt, hey, I'm making good money. I don't have to worry too much. I get a bonus every quarter. This year I got more bonuses than I thought we would because of what's going on. So I was fine. I was perfectly, fine and everything. So I didn't really need to go and monetize my channel. And also I would listen to I would also hear, what people like Angry Joe Vargas, if you will, and Rob the Wonderful, and a few others like Bob Show, Rob Thomas, and Lynn Cara, Lewis Lovehog, and all of them, and even Bennett the Sage, and Cinemassacre at times, James Rolfe and Mike Mattel, and even Doug Walker and Awesome. I would hear what they had to say sometimes when it came to the whole copyright situation, because it wasn't just the fact that they were trying to protect people's rights and rights to fair use and all that, and their channels, but also there were times where they would have to come on and explain why certain videos that maybe they just put up can't be seen, or why certain videos that became popular over the years that they were on their channel have suddenly disappeared. And they would have to explain that it's because they were taken down, it was a copyright filed against them. Basically they would say either the YT took them down or they took them down because of copyright issues, and if they took them down, they're just reworking them to re-upload them later on without any issues. And that's what kind of made me kind of a little unsure at first to do my channel. I mean, even just Alex, formerly Deluxe Man, who's one of my go-tos for when it comes to opinions on wrestling and all that, has even had a situation. Even Zarin Nizarak of the Multimedia Chronicles, Sean McLean, has had issues when it comes to copyright. And basically, long story short, I hear all this and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I want to. It would be nice to make some money on the side, but I'm not too sure. But then, of course, like I said, last month I lost my job. So I figured, well, I didn't want to have to do it unless maybe something like this happened. So I ended up applying, and the first time my application did not fully go through, even though I had all the requirements, the subscriptions, the views, and all that. But as I read more into why it happened, I realized, I have stuff on my channel that's already been posted elsewhere before I posted it. So I'm going to have to correct myself on that. And basically, a day or two after my first application was denied, I went through all my channels. I went through not all my videos, but I went through several of them to think, okay, which ones are identical to what others have. And I even went through YouTube to see if maybe people had the same thing. And then when I saw that they did, I was like, okay, let me look at the date. I would see the date and I'd be like, okay, I know what to do. So I would take down certain things from my channel because I didn't want to risk, having my reapplication denied, which I put in last night. I didn't want my reapplication denied. And by doing so, I reapplied, like I said, last night, and thank the Lord. I even gave it to God. I prayed to him and I said, God, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'll give it all to you. I'll give all the glory to you. If this is meant to be, this is meant to be. If not, and I have to wait, okay, so be it. And thank the Lord above, it was my application went through. I was approved, and now I am monetized. I can now monetize my channel, and even get super chats if I want to get them. If people want to, help me out there. But yeah, basically in the long run, guys, I am finally monetizing my channel, but that's not all. You think getting approved to make some money on the side with my channel is something. Not only is that great, and not only like all of us across the country, I finally got, so a clear pathway and directive when it comes to my unemployment, if you will, financially. But also today, I got something in the mail from my ex job, or at least the people associated with the ex job. Let's see what their name is. Benefits Online is what I'll just call it. It's just going to call Benefits Online. And basically, they're one of the people, and they're basically like the main place to, they're basically the main partner of my former job when it comes to people applying for 401k. And let's just say today I got something in the mail that kind of said, yeah, we realize you're no longer working, and here's what's going to happen. And I read it, and it told me what to do. So I went online, created an account, went through all the steps, and basically found out that, oh, I have something in there. I'm gonna take it out, because I think what I read about this. What I read here was that if I keep it in there, I'm gonna get charged, I think. But I think what it's also noticing, what I'm noticing maybe, and I gotta maybe I have to reread it, but it's basically saying, hey, you got this is going to be paid out to you, and then I think they're going to close up the account, or close up the 401k portion of my ex job when it comes to my account with them. So yeah, I've actually finally but I actually have a little bit more financially coming in maybe in the next few days. My job did send me a final check. Wasn't much. It was just basically enough to help get down the overdrafts I have on my bank. So yeah, it's one of those situations. But anyway, though, guys, that's what's going on. So yeah, I am now monetizing my channel. Yes, super chats are now officially open if you want to contribute there. Really, it would help out in the long run. Yeah, it's just great. It's just a great feeling right now to know that things are starting to look up a little bit. One thing I have learned about, just briefly, with this whole monetizing deal, is you have 4, not 3, but 4 different dollar icons when it comes to it. Now you have $2 icons on your channel. One's on the left side, if you will, or right side, depending on how you look at it. Let's see. Yeah, one's on the right side and one's on the left side. With me looking into the camera, looking at the screen, it's left and right here. But when you turn like this, it's right, left. You kind of get the idea. But anyway, there's basically on the left side of your screen, or right side, depending on how you look at it, mostly left side, you have your video, you have your editing tool, you have your analytic button, and you also have the dollar button. And the dollar button, from what I can tell, allows you to see the monetization, I think. Let me check. Yeah, it basically is the display ads, overlay ads, sponsored cards, skippable video ads, non-skippable video ads. Basically, it allows you, if you want to check off, like, what kind of ads you want to be shown during your videos. Like, do you want them seen before, after? Do you want them skippable or not skippable? stuff like that. And then the other one is just whether you want to turn monetization off on the video or you want to keep it. And that's, like I said, on the right side, that the $sign that says on with the word on next to it, it's basically a on and off switch. It's like, do you want to keep it on or do you want to turn it off for that video? But the other thing I've also learned is the other versions as well. Like you get the red $signs on the left, which have the slash through them. Of course, those are the ineligible ones, but they still can be seen. The problem is the reason they're ineligible, and I've talked about this before in my copyright video, is mainly the people that are distributing that are kind of take creation responsibility or creation credit for whatever you're using, saying, hey, we're cool with you having the video up, no problem, get you more views, cool, gets more attention to your channel, cool, but you're not going to make money off this video because we're the ones that, as I mentioned in the copyright video I did, we're the ones that basically make the money off. We're the ones that brought this song or brought these, visuals to life, and we're the ones that by right should be making the money, not you. So that's basically what the red $signs or dollar icons on the right with the slash through them are about. But then I also found out that there are other ones that are green, kind of lightish green $signs on the right. But mainly what they are, believe it or not, is, sharing. It's like it's like if I'm doing a video like this video, this live stream could get monetized after it's uploaded, super chats or not. Well, basically, it can get monetized, on its own, no big deal. But there are some videos that if you use content, that will still have the $sign on the right, in the color green, but it might be a little darker green or lighter green, and that means you're sharing revenue with the people, with the content, with the people that copyrighted the content. In other words, it's like you're getting a piece of it, they're getting a piece of it, stuff like that. So that's how I understand it. And then we have the yellow ones, which are called limited. In other words, the limited ones are like you could still make money, but there may not be many ads and all that because of what's involved in the video, whether it's an MK11, playthrough, or a fight or whatever, or it's a video where you're talking about something that maybe is too sensitive. I don't know. But basically, there's that yellow $sign that's the yellow orangey $sign that's basically stands for limited availability, as they call it. So, yeah, but with all that said, guys, I am finally, like I say, monetizing my channel. And without further ado, let's talk about the topics we have to discuss today. Yes, we have 8 topics to get through, hopefully, without any interruption. So let's get into them. I know we're about a half hour in, but I just wanted to get all that off my chest to let you guys know what's up, what's going on. So the first topic we're going to talk about today will be about last night / Thursday night's separate town halls. In case you don't know, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden had separate town hall specials. Donald's was on NBC. Joe's was on ABC. Number 2, the second. So we'll talk about that. Second topic is about possibly more movies heading to streaming services. We'll get into that and tell you which ones have been announced, or at least which new ones have been given the green light to go to streaming. Number 3, we will talk about should the Big Ten and possibly the Pac-12, if they get their butts together, be allowed to compete in the big bowl games. We'll talk about that. Number 4, we'll talk about AEW All Elite Wrestling 1-year anniversary for Dynamite. We'll give thoughts on that. Number 5, we'll talk about Darkwing Duck, possible pilot that debuts this weekend / Monday And could more Disney Afternoon rebooted pilots be on the horizon? We'll get onto that. We're also going to talk about could base number 6 will be we'll talk about could the MLP 2021 movie be VOD bound instead of theatrical bound? We'll get into that. Number 7, we'll talk about more on the Rally for Sally campaign and how much further it's gotten. And number 8, to finish us off, we'll talk about we'll have more talk on Disney's new media strategy. Yeah, so basically that's a lot to take in. So anyway, as I put in the tags, as I put in the words or sayings in the tagline here, let's talk about our first topic. As I get this going here. Oh, yeah. So last night, and I'll be right back before I do that. I was just checking something, folks. But anyway, as I was saying, last night, both Joe Biden and Donald Trump had separate town hall specials. And Joe Biden, had his advertised about a couple of days in advance. And Donald Trump, I guess, decided, you know what? I'm not going to let him get a step ahead of me, and manipulate these people. I'm going to have one as well. So Donald ended up having one on with NBC. And, when you view, I'll put it this way. I did not watch both of them, but I'm going by what other people have been saying. And honestly, in my opinion, it sounds like basically just the way ABC was describing it in the YouTube clips from the Joe Biden one. Basically, it sounds like a lot of Americans like myself want answers. They want the truth. It's like, they're sick and tired of excuses. They want an answer. And, it wasn't just Joe either that this was happening to. They also did this with Donald doing his town hall special. People were just pressing them down, answering the questions that they wanted answers to. And I could kind of tell just by hearing it, when it was happening and maybe noticing it at times, that with the Donald Trump one, and I'm pretty sure the same with the Joe Biden one, when the people would ask them the questions, they weren't satisfied with the answers they were given. They were like, yeah, you can give us those answers and we'll take them for right now, but it's not what we want. It's like to them, if you're going to basically if you're going to basically try to run for an office, especially in this case, president, then you need, in a lot of people's mind nowadays, you need to give them straight answers. You can't just, hide behind the fact that, oh, well, if you do this for me, I'll let you know then and all that. And I think that's why ABC in some of the videos was saying, was basically entitling them, folks pressuring Joe Biden. Because, it's like, hey, look, we want answers and don't give us the excuses of, oh, well, if you vote for me kind of deal. To them, it's like, don't mess with them. Don't play with their minds or anything is what it was. It's like, don't mess with our minds. Don't play with our minds kind of deal. And I think, honestly, a lot of people are just, on both ends of the spectrum are just like sick and tired of waiting. They want an answer. They want an answer. They don't want to be left in the dark or anything like that. They want a straight answer from Biden or Trump. They want the truth. They want them to just come out and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, this is what's going to happen. Da, da, da. They want straight answers. They don't want BS thrown their way. They don't want that. They want a legitimately straight answer, if you know what I mean. They don't want to be waiting, for a long time. They want a straight answer. They want that straight answer. They don't want to be yanked around anymore. And again, I don't think anybody could blame them for that, for feeling that way, because it's like enough's enough with them. It's like enough's enough. They're sick and they're tired of it, and they just want a straight answer, and they don't want to be yanked around. So I think honestly, I think honestly both kind of came out equal. I watched the clip where Hannity, I can't pronounce the name, but Hannity on Fox basically called out Savannah Guthrie from turning the town hall thing last night, Thursday night, I should say, into a debate. I mean, he basically, Hannity basically said that Savannah was just being a stand-in for Joe Biden. And, you could believe that if you will. If you want to agree with that, fine. That's not a problem. I didn't see that, honestly. I didn't really see that, in my opinion. What I saw was Savannah doing probably the best job, I think, of anybody that was moderating anything, whether it's a debate or a town hall. I think Savannah, and this is straight up shoot, if you will. I think Savannah did a good job. Yeah, she was pressing Donald for a lot of questions. With a lot of questions. Not a lot of questions, but she was definitely pressing Donald for answers, like legit answers, from her perspective. But I think if you look besides her kind of trying to pressure him, like the people in that town hall were trying to get answers out of him, I think honestly she probably did the best job I've ever seen. Honestly, I mean, I think if you're NBC, your Fox, your CBS, ABC, CNN, whoever is your go-to, news coverage channel, I think honestly, you want someone like Savannah Guthrie that is going to kind of pressure the person they're talking to for answers, but will do it in a way that feels like it's not that bad. Feels like, okay, she's just trying to get answers, and she'll move on. So, and if she can't get them, she'll just move on. So I believe she did probably the best job out of any person I've seen, debate-wise or town hall-wise, when it comes to moderating a situation involving Trump, Biden, or both. So I really think she just drinking some Coca-Cola there. So I think honestly she did a great job. Does this kind of like build up for what's going to happen at the debate next week or a week after? It all depends. I don't know if it's going to, really help out or anything. I do know that it seems that maybe it's just my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the wheels, from what some pro, as they call them, as some people call them out to be, pro Biden Harris networks, media networks, social media networks, whatever you want to call them, channels, have been pointing out, calling out and pointing out, it seems like some of the wheels are starting to fall off the Biden-Harris train. Now, I could be wrong, but they're also reporting some things that Biden has said. Like recently at one of his rallies or something like that, he said that voters don't deserve to know what he's going to do when it comes to the court. Excuse me, whether he's going to pack it or not. They don't deserve to know until after the election. Here's the thing, when you do something like that, from what I've seen over the years, you do something like that and you say, "Oh, well, people are gonna vote for me anyway, so they don't need to know what I'm gonna do until after I'm in." Yep, they're not gonna know. When you do that, that doesn't make you look good. That makes you look like you're hiding something, and you shouldn't be. So, it seems, and again, maybe it's just me. It seems that the wheels are falling off. That's my opinion. Feels like the wheels are falling off the wagon, the train, if you will. But again, I could be wrong. Maybe that's how one news outlet, wants you to see it, or wants you to view it. But we'll have to wait and see. But this is going to be a really unusual election. There's no doubt about that. And a lot's going to change. There's going to be some, if not a lot, that remain. It's going to be 50-50 when it's all said and done. I'll put it that way. It's going to be 50-50. It's like half of it's going to stay the same, half of it's going to change. So it's going to still remain, it's going to be 50-50 down the line. It's going to be 50-50 down the line. But as far as last night's town halls, I mean, I didn't watch Biden. I barely watched the Trump one, but from what I could tell, both, I'm pretty sure both, if not one of them, I'm not going to say who, is hoping they don't have to go through another town hall meeting ever again. Because people, when you're dealing with legit hardworking people like myself, and knowing that they're going to ask you a question that they're going to want a straight answer to, you'd probably be thankful you don't have to deal with something like this for a while, if not ever again, yourself. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of about, again, just like I feel the election, basically, I feel it was about even. Just like I feel everything's going to be after the election's all said and done, all the results and stuff are in. I feel it's going to be 50-50. I feel last night's town deals on both sides of the spectrum were basically very much even. They were down the middle. And again, I'm going to stick by what I said. Even if she pressured him for questions and everything, or pressured him for answers with certain questions, or follow-up questions to what, a citizen was asking him, even though she, pressured him with those follow-up questions for answers, I think, despite how you feel about how you view it, I think Savannah probably did the best job she could. I think she did a lot better than some people give her credit for. I think she did. And and what she did last night, in my opinion, exemplifies the kind of person you want moderating town halls or even debates. Because even though they may want to get an answer or may try to say, hey, okay, your time's up, let's go to this person, at least they're going to try to do it in a more respectful manner. And I think Savannah Guthrie, and I think Savannah Guthrie last night did that, in my opinion. I think she did. So anyway, moving on to our second topic here. As I go check something. Okay, just checking something again, guys. But as we move on to our second topic is about more movies heading to streaming services. Okay, so in case you don't know, people from John Campa to many others have mentioned, even Variety brought this up, that the sequel to the late 80s comedy, smash hit comedy, Coming to America 2, is not going to be going theatrical. Instead, Paramount has made a deal with Amazon, and Amazon's going to present it as an Amazon original movie, or movie original. or Amazon original, period. But basically, it's going to be an Amazon original movie licensed out and distributed to them by Paramount. And this is not a surprise to anybody. I mean, John Campa and Rob, his co-host Rob, they both agreed that this was something that if there was any other future movie that was planned to come out this year theatrically that could, go from being delayed to possibly VOD, it was going to be Coming to America 2, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, Coming to America 2 is VOD bound, but it's not the only one that's VOD streaming, bound, if you know what I mean. Because even though it's going to Amazon and, like I say, being presented as an Amazon original movie distributed by Paramount, there is another one that's being released as well as we speak. Yeah, there is another one that's being released as well. Let's see. Trying to find it here. Here we go. See, it's here somewhere. Oh, I know. Let me check the past week. That'll do. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I know it's what is it? Oh, I know what to do. I know it's here somewhere. Oh, here we go. There's my help. Wikipedia. Sorry for the silence for anybody listening on the audio portion. What is that one? I know I just saw. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go to YouTube to this, not my channel one, but the subscription one. Hold on, guys. We got a history. Let me see if I can look down here for a second. I don't think they took it off or anything, but they shouldn't have. So let me see. Come on, baby. Come on. Let's see. Okay. So I know it's in. It's probably earlier than I thought. Let me see. There we go. It's called Hi Opai Ka, You Animal. That's what it's called. Yeah, just the volume here, just in case I get the full context. It's at Hayapoka, the Nifam Diamina story, or whatever it's called. Yeah, but that, like I was mentioning, Coming to America 2 isn't the only thing heading to streaming. This one that I just mentioned, I probably butchered the name on it, is also heading to streaming courtesy of Netflix. High Up Kai, High Up I, which is the Nifa Dimaro story, which translates to SOB, I'll put it that way, or You Animal, is a movie, an adult animated romantic comedy coming out of the Philippines. It's produced by Rocket Sheep Studio and Spring Films, and is set to debut in basically 13 days on Netflix. So yeah, it's going to have an R rating, I think, an MA, TV-MA/R rating, because yeah, it's going to be dealing with some very adult subjects. But you can definitely tell, I think, that this was a movie that, animation-wise, be honest, I think was also planned for theatrical release this year here in America. I'm not lying. I think it was. I think it was one of those films that was going to mainly be shown at night, possibly. It's going to be one of those shows that it goes into selective theaters, but if it ends up in any of the major ones, it's slotted to take over. It's basically scheduled to take over the slot of a movie that had already been in the theaters for like maybe a month or two, and was getting ready to end its run there before heading to streaming and home video. I think that's probably what was going to be the way it was going to be showcased in theaters. But again, because of what's going on, just like with Coming to America 2, it is basically heading to streaming courtesy of Netflix. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting so it's going to be interesting to watch, because apparently this is being hyped up, but it's an adult animation. It's an adult animated romantic comedy. And it looks like, from what the trailers show, that if there's any like fantasy moments, if you will, in there that play off the main leads, and her name is Nympha, Nympha, Nimfa, Nympha, or whatever. Basically, if any of these fantasies play off her urges, if you know what I mean, then yeah, it'll be an interesting watch for anybody that wants to check it out. But yeah, that's again, That's another example of, I think, something that was potentially going to hit theaters very limitedly and be shown mostly at night, like around 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's just another example of something that's now heading to streaming. And there are other movies that are potentially going to, hit streaming as well as we get closer, as we get closer to what would have been the original release dates. I mean, we know Soul, the Disney / Pixar animated film, was supposed to be theatrical this past summer. But because of what's been going on, it got delayed until about Thanksgiving. And then because of the unsureness of theaters being open, and then Regal saying, hey, until this is cleared up, or at least, until we have most of the country upper, in a certain tier to where, hey, it's A-okay to bring people back, we're going to shut down temporarily. With that being, like, I think the final nail in the 2020 coffin, they're like, yeah, Disney's like, yeah, let's just put this on Disney Plus like we did with Onward, because, we have a better chance of getting an audience there than we do theatrically. Excuse me for a second. You okay? Just checking on my dog. She's got allergies. She's fine. Fine. She just does that every time she wakes up a little bit. Well, not every time, but on occasions. But yeah, Soul is another example. Like I said, Disney's like, they just threw up their hands and said, forget it. Let's just let's put it on Disney Plus service and be done with it. So yeah, these are just an example of more movies heading to streaming than, being at least held off until maybe some kind of opening is made theatrically. But the biggest question is that going to be the future, even going into next year? Who knows? I mean, it's obvious basically that, it's obviously, what I'm trying to get at is basically it's obvious that Warner Brothers and Disney does not want to put Wonder Woman or Black Widow into streaming. But you never know. I mean, recently John Campa on his show answered a fan's question about this rumor going around that Wonder Woman could potentially be seen a VOD / streaming release instead of theatrical. But then you have Patty Jenkins coming out, the person behind the Wonder Woman 84 and the first Wonder Woman movie, saying, no, that's not going to happen because we're still committed to a theatrical release. And when you have someone like the director, the person behind it, producer, director, that, helped bring that was a major reason the whole thing came to life, and the potential third movie coming to life. When she comes out, or when they come out and says, yeah, that rumor about VOD, you can toss that in the trash. It's not true. But there's always a saying of, where there's smoke, there's fire. And, even John and his co-host for that day, I think her name was Erin, they both agreed that, hey, even though they probably figured it wouldn't be true, still it shows people are invested into watching this movie and wanting to see this movie, even if it means they have to watch it at home. And, that could be why, some people started that rumor, or some kind of news outlet, media outlet started that rumor. And, again, it just shows the kind of time frame we're in right now, to where people even believe these big potential blockbuster films that are being held off till next year, are going to probably end up being VOD bound, whether, the studios want to admit it or not. And again, you have directors and producers behind the film saying, no, that's not true. We're still committed to theaters. Here's the thing, though. Even with Patty Jenkins saying that it's not going to happen that way, even with Patty Jenkins saying we're not going to do streaming, we're not going to do VOD with Wonder Woman 84, some people will come out and say, yeah, you're just saying that because you're in denial. You don't want to admit that you're going to end up doing Wonder Woman 84 to VOD and streaming. You just don't want to admit it. You don't have the guts to admit it. And unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of people, when it comes to something like that, have their opinion, and there's nothing you can stop them from saying otherwise, or change their mind, I should say, from saying otherwise. If they believe, Patty Jenkins is just denying the inevitable, then fine, that's their opinion. The one thing that Warner Brothers and Patty Jenkins has to be careful of now, because of this rumor that she had to debunk as not being true, coming out, is there's a potential that someone could try to sneak the hard drive, basically the hard drive, let me show you something as an example. They got to be wary that someone doesn't take something like this. Well, maybe not like this. This maybe something the size of an external hard drive. But anyway, they got to be careful that somebody doesn't take the film, because a lot of films nowadays are now on these kind of things, if not the external ones, and basically try to upload it online so people could see the movie. So they can at least make the whole rumor of, see, it went to streaming. See, it went to video on demand. Da, 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 da. They can at least give some kind of validation. Give it some kind of validation of being true. So Patty and Warner Brothers, basically, they got to be careful about that now, because again, there's that old saying of where there's smoke, there's fire, and people will be willing to, ignite a fire and make it a reality. They will be willing to make a fire. They're willing to take that smoke and make it into a real fire. They are. Again, though, if you have someone like Patty Jenkins, the person behind the movie, coming out and saying, no, that's not going to happen, then you got to take that as legit. But again, like I said, some people will say, oh, she's just denying it. She's just denying the inevitable. She knows it's going to go to streaming and VOD. She might as well stop denying the inevitable. And fine. If that's how they feel, they have the right to their opinion. But the fact of the matter is this: whether you like it or you don't like it, if someone if the person behind the film comes out and has to debunk the fact that a certain film, that film in particular, is not going to go VOD streaming, then you have to believe them. Because if they are committed to still saying, hey, you want to immerse yourself in this movie, you go to the theaters, you buy yourself a dang ticket, if you will, and that's how you sit in the seat there and enjoy it. If they feel if they're still committed to doing that, then they're going to do it. But I think honestly, the reason, in my opinion, why a lot of people I think honestly why a lot of people begin these kind of rumors, either for Wonder Woman 84 or Black Widow, or for even Tenet, even though it went theatrical and got some positive reviews and box office numbers. But for any other future release coming out next year, the reason they're more inclined to saying, oh, it might just go to streaming because they don't know when they're going to release it, it's mainly because they've gotten adjusted to being at home and watching these movies now. They've got adjusted to basically, being on their computers like this, or on their phones, or if their TV has it, watching it on the big 4K or even 8K televisions. They're used to watching it there with the immersiveness of maybe a surround sound system to go with it. They're more used to that now than anything else. And, to them, not to them, but what I'm trying to say is, to them, now that they've gotten into some kind of that, that mindset, that habit, if you will, they're going to be very reluctant to want to go and spend money on a ticket to go to the theaters and watch something that, hey, you don't to where they can be like, hey, you don't know if the theaters are going to be open when you schedule it to be released. How do you know everything's going to be open? Maybe VOD is better. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's what's happened. I think honestly, a lot of people have become so immersed in just being at home and being in front of their computers or their 4K, 8K, 1440p or 1080p televisions, big screens and all that with the immersed surround sound of a Bose surround system or a regular, Durabrand like mine, Durabrand surround system or JVC or Philips or whatever. They become so immersed in, watching the newest movies from the comfort of their home that they're not going to want to be in a hurry to go to the box office and watch something on the big screen if they could watch it at home. And to them, the advantages are major. The advantages are huge. One, they don't have to get up during previews or the beginning of a film or the middle of the film and go use the restroom or the movie's still going on and they have to come back and ask what they missed or go get popcorn or alcohol or whatever, and then ask what they missed. No, what they could do basically is just take the remote, go to the pause button, go click. And then next thing you know, they can get up, go over to the fridge, go over to the fridge, open it up, go in, grab a bottle of Coke, beer, soda, go over to the microwave or go over to the cupboard or the pantry, open it up, reach in, get a bag of popcorn or a bowl of M&Ms, put the popcorn in the microwave, let it pop, relax, get up on your feet, kind of stretch a little bit. And then after the popcorn's done, you got the bowl, you can bring it out of the microwave, you got your napkins and everything, you got your bowl of M&Ms, you go right back to your seat like this, put your stuff down on your table or where you're sitting at, grab your remote, and click, unpause, and away you go. You just continue where you left off. And people have gotten into that habit. And I think people like John Campy has, is noticing this. And he's like, look, there are ways you can open the theaters. We've seen it and we've seen it elsewhere. It can be done. And I think the reason he's bringing that up is because he, who's worked in the movie industry, is realizing the same thing. People have become complacent. They've become too adjusted and immersed into watching the newest films from home. And sometimes that's not a good thing. I mean, here's what I'm talking about. So when Universal DreamWorks made the announcement that they were going to do Trolls World Tour in theaters, very limited, because they knew they had a time frame before they would probably close down, to basically VOD, premium VOD, basically rental only for a time, people became complacent. I mean, when they found out, hey, wait a minute, this is going to be in theater. Not only is this going to be in theaters, but it's also going to be on premium VOD rental only on the same day. That means I can watch it at home I can watch it in the comfort of my own home. I don't have to get up I don't have to miss anything. I can grab my remote, pause it, get a drink or whatever. Because of this movie, because of the decision that Universal made, and that, basically because of the decision that Universal made when it came to this, and then later on with other studios like Disney and Warner Brothers and most of them following suit, of course, we ended up having a situation to where people would rather watch the newest films in the comfort of their own home instead of going to the theaters. And that's why you have people like John Campa coming out and saying, "Hey, people are becoming too complacent. We need to do something about this. Movie theaters, that they want the money, they want to get people back. They got to reopen, but they have to reopen eventually, and they can reopen, but they have to do it with through modifications. And those modifications, as he's pointed out in several of his shows, when asked about this, can be done. It can be done." Like I said, it can be done, and like I said, it can be done. And he's mentioned, like I said, John Campa has mentioned it on several occasions that something like that can be done, and others have talked about that. But again, the reason why you have people starting up rumors like Wonder Woman 84 or Black Widow, this movie or that movie, going possibly to VOD and streaming, is because they become so complacent and adjusted to watching, like I said, the news movies at home, that again, even with a vaccine coming up in the future, if not sooner than later, they're still not going to trust the theaters. The theaters like Regal or AMC or Cinemark, they could say, "Oh, we've taken all the protocols. We made all the modifications. Things are going to be okay." People still ain't going to trust them, and people are going to come up with the excuse of, "How do we know you guys are going to follow through in that? We don't know if you're going to follow through in that." And by the way, we've pretty much figured out that it's better just to watch the news movies at home because we don't have to move around that much. We don't have to be around germs that much. So yeah, basically, to me, I think honestly, people starting that rumor is just because they become too complacent, too used to the situation that they're in right now. So that's why, people started that rumor. And that's why you had someone like Patty Jenkins have to come out and say, "No, it's not true. We're still committed to a theatrical release." So, yeah, but like I said, the but like I said, movies like Coming to America 2, the Nafima story, that's from the Philippines, coming to Netflix. Soul, Disney Pixar Soul going to Disney Plus. These are just examples of more movies heading to streaming services because of what's going on, and also potentially opening the door for other movies to follow suit. Should movie theaters not kind of reopen fully within the next year? So, yeah, that's basically all I can say on that topic right there. So now, moving on to number 3, our third topic. Excuse me. I had to drink some soda there. Moving on to topic number 3, and that is, should the Big Ten and possibly the Pac-12, because we haven't heard anything yet, but should the Big Ten and possibly the Pac-12 be allowed to compete in the big bowl games at the end of the season? But basically, should they be allowed to compete in the big bowl games? In those games, of course, being the New Year's Six, the college football playoffs, and I think even some of the bowl games that lead into that as well. But mostly like the New Year's Six and the college football playoffs. And I've talked about this before, and honestly, folks, I think it's only fair that even if the Big Ten and the Pac-12 begin play at the end of this month, mostly the Big Ten, and then the Pac-12 maybe at the end of this month, if not into next year. I think not next year, but next, yeah, basically, what I'm trying to say is my opinion, honestly, is I think that even with the Big Ten starting up supposedly at the end of this month, and the Pac-12 possibly following at the beginning of next month, maybe, we're not sure yet. I don't think they should be allowed to compete in the big bowl games. I mean, yes, as I mentioned before, the name value like of Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin, they're very appealing. They're very appealing and very attractive, especially for ratings. But I just don't think it would be fair to all the other college football teams out there that have been playing since officially the start of the season. I don't think it would be fair to the mid-major schools or semi-major schools or conferences that have been playing since the start of the year. I don't think it would be fair to the Mountain West. I don't think it'd be fair to the AAC. Heck, I don't think it'd be fair to the Sun Belt. And they're getting more exposure, most of these conferences, than they've ever thought they could, all because of what's going on. And by getting the exposure that they're getting, I don't think they should have any opportunity taken away from them. I think they should be given the opportunity that originally would go to the Pac-12 teams and the Big Ten teams. I think that's what should happen. I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12, yes, if they do play, and the Big Ten right now is scheduled to. Pac-12, I'm not totally sure yet. Hold on. Let me check that out. I think, honestly, they should be satisfied, or at least, take the pride that they have, and out of respect, step aside and let the smaller schools play in their place. And then they, just for this year, play in the bowl games that they would play, that the smaller schools like a Sun Belt or a Mountain West or an AAC would play in. So instead of, like, say, the third seeded AAC team playing in a mid-major bowl, instead have a Pac-12 or a Big Ten team go in their place. So that way, that AAC team can have a chance maybe at being in a New Year's Day 6 bowl. So basically, and yes, we will have a Pac-12 season. So that's pretty good. At least we're going to get one. And let me see when it's supposed to start. Wikipedia will tell us. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so September 24th, the Pac-12 conference announced the postponement of fall sports was to be ended, and teams returned to play with a 6-game conference-only season to begin on November 6th. Okay, so that's pretty cool. At least they're going to get to play. But the thing is, I believe, honestly, these teams should at least let the smaller conferences or the mid-major conferences take over, at least for this year. It's only fair. Because honestly, what are you going to do? You're going to put a 6-0 team, in the college football playoff. That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. It doesn't make sense. Let's see. What else it says? It says, okay, all fall sports was to be ended, and teams returned to play with 6-game conference-only season to begin on November 6th. And the Pac-12 championship game on December 18th, with the rest of the conference seeded for a 7th game. Okay. So what that means basically is you got your two top teams, I think it was the North and the South, I think that's what it is. Yeah, North Division, South Division. So they're going to play in the champions of both divisions are going to play in the conference championship, while the other teams will at least get one more game to possibly get bowl eligible. So at least you won't, have. So at least there'll be something there. Excuse me. So anyway, though, like I said, my honest opinion, like I said, is I think basically the teams, the Pac-12 teams and the Big Ten teams should step aside and, just let, teams from the AAC and the Mountain West, even the Sun Belt, basically take over. Just take those spots for this year, because you can't tell me that even with a shortened season, there won't be criticism. Now, I know people will say, well, they had no choice, Brian. With everything going on, they couldn't start regularly because they weren't sure what's going to happen. And I understand that. I do. But why take opportunity away from the schools that have been working harder than these two conferences? Why take those opportunities away from them? Why not just say, hey, these teams have been doing this longer than you. They went through all the trials. Let's let them play, and then you guys can take those spots. That's about it. So, I just feel that basically they need to, in my honest opinion, they need to just, let the smaller schools, the mid-major conferences, smaller conferences, they should let them be the ones that have the spotlight this year. Because let's be honest. We're seeing how a lot of football is being played right now, right? College and pro. You have limited fans, no fans. Guess what? They still could have played. No, even with no fans, they still could have played. And they know it. They know they still could have played, but they didn't. They didn't play because of the fear of what was going on around here. And again, that's understandable. That is understandable. I get that. I totally get that. But the thing is, this shouldn't be something that holds them back. Take a look at what Major League Baseball's doing. They're playing a lot. They got crowds now. Well, not total crowds, but they got fans attending the playoffs in basically different areas, different venues. If you will. And guess what? Nothing. They're taking the right protocols and everything. Everything is fine. So to me, if the Pac-12 and the Big Ten really wanted to be part of this and really want to have an opportunity, an equal opportunity like they do every year, they should have at least started at the beginning of the year with the modifications that a lot of schools, a lot of college football, and even the NFL have been doing. But they didn't. They just decided, oh, okay, we'll just start towards the part of the season where it really matters. That doesn't make sense. Now, again, like I said with the Big Ten, I can understand the attractiveness to when it comes to a team like USC and UCLA and Stanford and Cal. I get that. And in Oregon and Oregon State and Washington State. I get all that. I totally get it. But basically what you're doing is you're taking away the opportunity for each team that's been doing it since the very first day of the season. You're taking away the opportunity at being in the spotlight for once. I mean, like I said earlier, they're getting more coverage than they've ever gotten before. And you want to take that away from them. No, you don't do that. What you do, out of respect for them going out and playing the entire season since the beginning, what you do is you take a step back and you say, you know what? We don't want in the playoffs. We don't want in the New Year's Day 6. You know what we want? We want these teams, these conferences to take our place so that they can be rewarded for doing what we were supposed to do since the beginning. I think it's only fair. So honestly, do I think, my opinion, do I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12 should be allowed to compete in these big bowl games, the New Year's Six and the playoffs? No. Is it going to probably happen? Yes. But do I think, and honestly, it should? No. Because you'll be taking away an opportunity from the schools and the conferences that have been playing since the beginning. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I know some people may or may not agree with it. But it's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. It's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. And I'm sure there are others that would agree. Like I said, I'm sure there are others that would agree. But anyway, now let's move on to topic number 4. And topic number 4 is AEW, All Elite Wrestling. It's 1 year anniversary of the weekly show Dynamite. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched all of Dynamite. I've watched highlights on YouTube and Twitter. I've heard what people like Just Alex, formerly Delexman, have had to say about it. And I think, and I have to give props to them for coming out, just coming out of nowhere and giving WWE, even if it's through NXT, giving them a run for the money. Because, you're getting some tremendous matchups that WWE has yet to do in the longest time. You're getting basically dog collar matches, which we haven't seen in years. I mean, if you were told me that this year we would have had Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee, aka formerly Luke Harper. If you would have told me, honest opinion, if you would have told me a year ago, when he was still in WWE, that Luke Harper, 1 year later or a year and a half later, would be tied by the neck in a dog collar match with Cody Rhodes, I wouldn't have believed you. If you would have told me that Jon Moxley and Brody Lee would have a rematch, almost, what was it? I guess what? 3 years later in AEW? If you would have told me they were going to have a rematch from the WWE days, and the match would be better, if not more brutal at times, I don't think anybody would have believed you. If you would have told me that FTR, formerly the Revival, and I think that's what it stands for, but I think formerly is replaced by another word, was going to be the AEW Tag Team Champions 1 year after they won the Raw Tag Team titles, I wouldn't have believed you. If you would have told me within a year's span that the Revival, FTR, was going to be, was going to hold the championships of both Raw and SmackDown individual times, and then a year later the AEW titles, wouldn't have believed you. Would not have believed you. But it happened. It happened. But it happened. And you can't deny that. You cannot deny that. I mean, and I got to give credit. I mean, and here's the thing. Even with what's been going on, I got to give them credit. AEW, they didn't shy away from it. They didn't shy away from the fact that things have been happening. They even had to adjust sometimes to how they would air Dynamite. I mean, heck, when this whole thing happened, where did they take Dynamite? They took it. What's his name? They took it to QT Marshall's wrestling school. An undisclosed location. They went to QT Marshall's wrestling school to show Dynamite. Did they get in trouble a little bit? Maybe. I think there was some kind of report that happened that they got caught. But they They filmed it there. They filmed several episodes there. The point is, guys, AEW has done a lot in the past year than we could give them credit for. They've basically had to readjust everything they had planned because of what's going on. And they did it, and I'll admit it, in a very successful way. Now, is it kind of crazy? Now, I know one of the criticisms that AEW has gotten over the past year, if not in the past several months, is that a majority of their championships, with the exception of the women's title, are held by WWE stars, former WWE stars. Hikaru, what's her name? Shida, I'll just call her Shida. Hikaru Shida is the only non-WWE star to hold an AEW championship. That being the women's championship. But Tag, World, TNT, all held by former WWE stars. And I know people have a criticism about that. It's like, well, wait a minute. We thought AEW is supposed to be a true alternative. It's supposed to be about the future. You know, why don't you put these belts on people that are not WWE guys? Well, that's a problem. You see, that's an issue. That's an issue, guys. Because the reason they don't do that, in my opinion, the reason they don't do that is because who on that roster has not gone through WWE, has not passed through its doors? Who has not? Huh? Who has not passed through their doors? Tell me, who has not passed through those doors? I mean, let's see. You look at the best friends, Chad, I think it was Chuck Taylor and Trent, if you will, with a question mark, Trent Berletta, Trent has passed through WWE doors. He was known as Trent Berletta in that company. Need you forget. Who else? Jake Hager. Need I say more? Jack Swagger. Chris Jericho. Again, need I say more? Le Champion. Of course, the AEW champ himself, Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose, Brody Lee, Luke Harper, FTR, The Revival, Cody Rhodes, Stardust. The list could go on and on and on. What I'm getting at is there is not one man or woman on that roster who has not passed through WWE's doors. Not one. Not one has not passed through WWE's doors. Now you might say that's not entirely true, and you're right. There's a lot of men and women on that roster, AEW-wise, that have yet tasted WWE's welcoming mat, if you will, or at least stepped onto WWE's welcoming mat. You know, they've yet to taste NXT. They have yet to taste Raw, SmackDown, or 205 Live, or NXT UK. That is true. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. A majority of that roster has. A majority of that roster has. Luchasaurus, known as, what was his, Devlin. I think that was his name in NXT. Devlin. Passed through WWE. He was in NXT. Shown on NXT, matter of fact. Point is, a lot of these men and women, majority of that roster, about maybe I would say 70% of that roster, has gone through WWE's doors, has wrestled in WWE, has wrestled in NXT, has wrestled on Raw, has wrestled on SmackDown, has wrestled on 205 Live, and even maybe touched ground in NXT UK. They've done all that. So for anybody to criticize AEW and say, oh, they're not building up new stars or hometown originals, well, there's a reason. There's a reason. One, the hometown originals still need experience, and they're getting it. Don't get me wrong. But they still need experience on a big stage in front of a worldwide audience. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean or anything. I'm saying that because it's a fact. So when you come out over the past several months and criticized the AEW's titles, AEW's championships, which include this, the AEW World title, are on the shoulders of, of WWE stars and not people that should have them, like an MJF or, a Jungle Express or whatever. Guess what? Their time is coming. It's just right now, right now, they still need experience. And that's why AEW has these former WWE stars. They have these WWE stars basically competing, not competing, but on top of the divisions. It's not because they don't want to build up new stars, guys. It's mainly because of the fact that they need that. Even though it's been over a year and a half since its existence, its actual debut, they're still basically needing that notoriety, saying, hey, basically by basically pointing out to any stars on the independent circuit that are still free agents that, hey, you want a place to go? Well, look who's here. Look who you can go against. You can go against Jon Moxley, formerly Dean Ambrose. You can go against Cody Rhodes. You can go against the American Nightmare, Cody, formerly Cody Rhodes, formerly Stardust. Look, you can compete against FTR, formerly The Revival. They have these people on top because that is what's going to attract any future talent. And also that's going to attract viewers. Now here's the thing. People like Maxwell J. Freeman, MJF, one of the best heels in the business right now, bright future, is going to get that AEW World title. He's going to get this, or he's going to get the TNT title, guaranteed. He's going to get one of these. That's a fact. That's a fact. He's going to get one of them. All right? He's going to get one of them, and that's a fact. That is an absolute fact. Okay? That is a fact. You know it, and I know it. And the same goes with the Best Friends, Pride and Powerful, Ortiz and Santana. Same goes for Eddie Kingston, all that. They're going to get their opportunity. Sean Spears, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, they're all going to get their opportunity. But right now, from a business perspective, you need the established stars to attract the audience, as well as attracting potentially new talent to come in and be part of your company. And that's why Jon Moxley is the AEW World Champion. That's why FTR is the tag champs. That's why Cody is the TNT champ. It's to attract in more talent to be part of your company. So you can build your company. You can build it to be as bigger than anybody would expect roster-wise. So that way, when you have a big enough roster in your eyes, then you could potentially say, okay, John, you're dropping the title to Eddie Kingston at Full Gear. Okay, FTR, you're going to finally drop the belts to the Young Bucks. Okay, Cody, you're dropping the belt to Ricky Starks. And there you go. Then when that happens, when those moments happen, when things like that happen, that's when you know. That's when you know if you're Tony Khan, you've achieved your goal. You got what you wanted. You got the talent. You got what you wanted. You were able to, from a smart business perspective and strategy, utilize the top former WWE stars as your attractions and your champions to not only bring in the viewers, but to bring in talent to be part of your company. And once you accomplish that, then you say, then as I just demonstrated, for example, then you tell someone like Moxley, drop the title to Kingston. You tell FTR, drop the title to the Bucks. You tell Cody, drop the title to Ricky Starks. You do that. You don't hold back, you do it. And that's it. You don't hold back, you do it. And that's a fact. That is an absolute fact. So, anyway, that's why, even in its 1 year, most of the championships have been held by WWE talent. Former WWE talent, that is. But anyway, what a heck of a year it's been. Can't wait to see what they got plans for the next year. I definitely looks like Full Gear is going to be built up to be something special. And expect I have to be in agreement with Alex, just Alex here. Get ready to be in store for a very violent, hardcore match between Moxley and Kingston for the world title. So anyway, with that said, let's move on to topic number 5. And our 5th topic is the Darkwing Duck possible pilot debuting this weekend / Monday. And could more Disney Afternoon rebooted pilots be on the way or be on the horizon? Well, who knows? This year has been basically a Disney Afternoon fiesta, if you will. It's basically been the birth of the Disney Afternoon television universe. And it all began last year. It all began in the second and if somewhat the first season with, references to the gummy bears in one episode, to Darkwing Duck, of course, last year, to now this year you've had Goofy from Goof Troop, the Goof Troop one, the Goof Troop version of Goofy. You've had the Genie from the DuckTale movie. You've had the Rescue Rangers. And still in the works, you got an adult Molly and Kit from Tailspin. You got monstrous mutated versions of the Wuzzles. You had Daisy show up. The 1960s version of Daisy show up. It's like a who's who, if you will. And now you're dedicating one episode, 1 hour, 2-part mini series to a possible Darkwing Duck revival. We see what Gosalyn looks like. Gosalyn is basically Gosalyn, except it looks like she's a little older in this one, and you can tell by the voice. But you have her in there. It looks like she's kind of the Latina background a little bit. But you have Gosalyn, and what's interesting in the clip that they showed during the flashback that Gosalyn that we see when Gosalyn's telling Darkwing exactly who Taurus Bulbar is and what happened to her grandfather. Guess what we see? We see Gosalyn in her original outfit with the number 1. That's a callback. That's a great callback. I mean, now we got on a new design and everything, but a new outfit and everything. But it's like, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. And now you have Launchpad and you have Dewey, I think, as a part of this, because they're like buddies, close buddies, compadres, if you will. But this is to me, this is going to be a great setup. It's going to be a great setup to a pilot. I mean, a great setup to a potential rebooted series or revival series. Now, here's what's interesting, though. A lot of people right now, I'm pretty sure, are thinking, oh, they're just filming that Darkwing Duck movie they talked about in his first appearance. And they've added Gosalyn and Dewey and Launchpad as, new characters. And it's going to be discovered that it's all a movie. At the end, it's going to be discovered it's been all a movie and all that. Maybe That is a possibility. The way they are, the creators are with DuckTales. That's a possibility. But I don't know. I potentially, honestly, don't know. I mean, you would think possibly they wouldn't do that. You would think possibly they wouldn't do that, but when you think about it, this version of DuckTales has proven to be anything but predictable. So to say that they probably won't maybe reveal that this whole thing has been nothing more than hold on for a sec. Has been nothing more than a movie that they were making. I would not put it past them. I would not put it past them because honestly, it would make sense for them to do something like that. It would make a lot of sense. I mean, I get, I get some people might be disappointed in that, but you never know. You never know, what potentially you're going to end up getting. You never know. But we'll have to wait and see. As I always say in a video, you always have to wait and see. And right now, it looks like it's legit. It looks like they're going to utilize these two parts to spin Darkwing Duck and Goslin, and maybe on occasions Launchpad, possibly with Dewey, into a spin-off series, the Darkwing Duck revival. I can see that. I can see them doing that. Not saying they will, but I could see them doing that. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah. Again, it could be just revealed to be nothing more than a big old storybook, a big production to make it look real, and then it's revealed, okay. And then at the end of the episode, when it looks like everything is, the day is saved and everything, I wouldn't put it past them that towards the end of the episode, when the day is saved and everything, all of a sudden you get a, okay, cut, print it, kind of deal. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. And I know that, some people don't want that. They don't want that to happen. And I totally understand that. But you never know. But again, you never really know. You can never tell. So, but yeah, I think honestly, it's, it's gonna be a fun kind of a watch when it happens, because people have been wanting to see Goslin, and we're gonna get her finally, and it looks like if this is legit, I would not be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if they fully go all out, because it's indicated in the original pilot that Taurus killed her grandfather. Well, something happened to cause her grandfather to pass. So I would not be surprised if they go all the way here and they say, okay, Taurus Bulbar, he killed him, or he tossed him into another dimension. Because the one thing that, when you look at the trailer for this, the one thing that pops up first is you have villains from another dimension showing up. So who's to say Bulbar didn't toss the grandfather into that dimension? Just saying. I'm just saying. It would make a lot of sense in the long run. It really would. But yeah, Darkwing Duck, possible pilot, is going to debut as part of DuckTales this weekend and this Monday. So it's a two-parter, so it's going to be really fun to see. But now the question is, potentially, could we see more Disney Afternoon rebooted pilots coming out of this? And I have to say, yeah. Because one, you knew the moment that Darkwing Duck officially came into the picture, the Drake Mallard version, that they weren't going to stop there. I mean, the ending of his debut episode, where the original Darkwing becomes Negaduck, you pretty much knew they're setting up something. They're building towards something. And now we're getting this. And it's like, yeah, you pretty much know they're going to do a series, or they have a series planned. And, to me, it opens the doors. It opens the door for other revivals to happen. I can see several future episodes of DuckTales being dedicated to these other Disney Afternoon potential revival pilots. I could see one for the Rescue Rangers. I could see one for Goof Troop. I could see one for Tailspin, if you will. I could see that. I could see one that serves as a revival / prequel in the DuckTales universe for Gummy Bears. I could see that all happening. It's like, it's like, to me, when they did this with Darkwing Duck, when he first appeared, and now that they're doing, as well as now that they're doing this, they've pretty much said nothing's off limits. Anything's possible. I mean, yeah, they can come out and say, well, with Rescue Rangers, we weren't supposed to really touch these guys because of reasons, mostly being the live action CGI animated hybrid that I guess they still have in the works. We're not supposed to touch them for reasons, and yet they got around it, and they were able to convince them, hey, this, we want to put these guys in there, and now there's a possible rumor going around that they're coming back. Again, it opens the door. It opens the door for potentially other future revivals. Like I said, I could see a future episode of Rescue DuckTales focused on the Rangers. I could see one focused on Goof Troop. I could see the one focused on Tailspin and then Gummy Bears. I could see that. And it would work. Because what you're doing, like with Darkwing upcoming this weekend, with the Darkwing done, what I'm trying to say is what you're doing, especially let's say with the Darkwing Duck one upcoming this weekend, is you're pretty much using the new DuckTales as your foundation. You're using it as your foundation to build this new revival, this new revived / rebooted Disney Afternoon television universe off of. And by doing so, you're pretty much kicking off the beginnings of a potential Darkwing Duck revival. And later on, you could possibly be doing the same with the other shows like Rescue Rangers and Tailspin and Gummy Bears and several others. Bonkers maybe. Well, maybe even Mighty Ducks. Who knows? But the possibilities are endless. But yeah, you're pretty much opening the door. And heck, you might even bring in the freaking Fluffy Dogs, who well, we know. That would be a surprise. But yeah, you're just opening the door for a lot of things to occur. And I could see it happening. I could see it really happening. Heck, what would be even crazier? If they use the DuckTales universe to be in the same continuity, the same universe and continuity as Zootopia, and they use the DuckTales series as an episode of DuckTales to potentially launch onto Zootopia series with, again, an episode focused on an episode utilized as a potential pilot. I could see that. I could see that happening. Again, nothing is off limits. There's talk that they might want to bring in Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Again, nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits, in my opinion. So, to me, do I see potentially other Disney Afternoon revival pilots occurring? Absolutely, I see them occurring. I see them happening no matter what. I see it. And I can potentially see, like I said, Disney, the creative staff behind the series, at Disney, using DuckTales as the foundation to build the Disney Afternoon television universe off of. and that I could see them utilizing, individual 2-part episodes, if not one episode, but mostly potentially, if not obviously, 2-part episodes to kind of, be used as potential pilots. I could see that. Like I said, what I'm seeing with Darkwing Duck here is just the beginning of what I could see them doing with other shows. I can see them doing a 2-parter with Gummy Bears, 2-parter with Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Wuzzles maybe, Fluffy Dogs, Bonkers, Goof Troop. Heck, I can see them doing it again, like I just mentioned, with Zootopia if they want to tie that in. Again, it's all there. The door is just, the floodgates, in my opinion, have been open or will be completely opened after this episode, this 2-part episode this weekend. Because again, what you're doing with Disney, it seems like what the creative staff at Disney behind what this show's creative staff at Disney is doing, in my opinion, what I'm trying to say is they're basically utilizing the series as its foundation for the television universe of Disney Afternoon. And like I mentioned, and I know I'm repeating myself here, I do apologize, I could see them using, 2-part episodes in DuckTales, just like they're going to do with this weekend with Darkwing Duck, as potential pilots for other future Disney Afternoon revivals of shows in the future, like Rescue Rangers, like Tailspin, Goof Troop, Gummy Bears, maybe the Fluppies, who knows, Wuzzles, and perhaps even something like Zootopia. You never know. But yeah, the Darkwing Duck one, it's happening. It's, like I said, the Darkwing Duck one is indeed happening this weekend. It's a possible pilot. And like I said, I think being as such, if you will, it opens the door for future Disney Afternoon shows to get a similar treatment that have made or will potentially make debuts or appearances in the Disney Afternoon in the months and weeks, if not years, to come. So yeah, it's going to happen, and can't wait to see that occur. All right, now on to number 6, our 6th topic, and that is could. I shouldn't say and could. I should just say could, shouldn't I? I put and. Whoops, I want to do that. Things been acting up today. I don't know why. Here we go. Could the MLP 2021 movie be VOD, video on demand, bound instead of theatrical bound? And the reason I bring that up, folks, and I know some people are wondering, well, what are you talking about? Well, again, going back to the second topic, with a lot of movies heading to streaming because of what's going on, especially the movies that studios feel, yeah, it could make some money at the box office, but it's not going to be worth our time to, put it there. So let's just do this instead. Could I see the 2021 MLP movie heading in that direction as well? Honestly, yeah. Yeah, I could. I could see it honestly heading in that direction. You know why? Because if things don't get back to semi-functioning, and they're not fully functioning normal by the time the movie comes out next September, I could see Paramount and Hasbro saying, you know what? Let's just put it on VOD. It's not going to be worth our time to put in the theaters if people are going to be, like I mentioned in the second topic, if people are going to be still reluctant to go to theaters, even if a vaccine is open, even if a vaccine at that time, and it should be at that time available, they'll still be reluctant. So, I wouldn't put it past, Paramount and Hasbro to make that decision. And I know people won't want to hear it or don't want to hear that, but when you really think about it, it's possible. It really is possible, because Soul this year was supposed to go to theaters, and now it's going directly to Disney Plus. Now that's either because Disney Disney got sick and tired of, always delaying it and just figured out, let's just do it this way anyway and give people a nice Christmas gift. Or just like with Onward, they just felt that it didn't have the potential to maybe gross the money they would hope for. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, could I see that happening with it? Absolutely. Like I said, could I see that happening? Absolutely. I could definitely see that happening. Not saying it again, not saying it will. Not saying it will. Hopefully, Paramount, stays steady and says, you know what, we're gonna basically keep the movie. We're gonna not keep them, but basically we're gonna keep to our word, and we're gonna put the movie in theaters. I could see them doing that. I can see them doing that, but I just honestly do. But honestly, I do see the potential of the movie heading to VOD. I do. If nothing, else happens, in my opinion. Well, not nothing else happens, but if nothing if the theaters financially don't bounce back in the way they're hoping to, with especially a lot of the big blockbusters being held off until certain times next year, and people feeling more safe and comfortable to go back. Yeah, I could honestly see. Excuse me. I could honestly see the, Paramount and Hasbro agreeing, let's just put the movie on VOD. I could see that happening. Now, like I said, I understand people don't want to believe that, and I don't want to believe that. That's the truth. I don't want to believe that's going to happen. I'm hoping that they'll still put it on or put it in the theaters, because, after what Friendship is Magic Generation 4 has done for the MLP franchise, and the fan base, I think it deserves a theatrical run. But honestly, again, people look at the fact that even if we have a vaccine and everything by that time, and we should, not a lot of people are going to be very enthusiastic or in a hurry to go back to the theaters, even a year later, or basically in the next 11 months. They're not going to be in a hurry to go back to theaters in 11 months to see something like the MLP movie. So I honestly think that we could potentially see that movie go to VOD, because again, from a business perspective, Paramount may say, look, people are still reluctant, even though everything seems to be back to normal now. The businesses are starting to slowly bounce back as best they can, and especially the cinemas, but people are still reluctant. So could I see it going to VOD even a year after this? Yeah. I could see it going to VOD. And, that might be, unfortunately, the best decision they got to make for it, even a year later. Now, I understand you're all watching this and you're saying, Brian, that's not going to happen. We got 11 months, almost a year before the movie comes out. A lot could happen. A lot could change. A lot of things could get better. And you're right. A lot could. But here's the thing. Even like I said, and again, I know I'm repeating myself here. I do apologize. But here's the thing. Even if you have everything ready to go, from vaccines to safety protocols and everything, to now you could get back to max capacity, if you will. Even if you have that all figured out from a safety perspective, honestly, people will still be reluctant. People will still be reluctant to go. I mean, San Diego Comic-Con is supposed to come back next year, all the conventions that got closed down physical, from an in-person perspective and resulted to virtual this year are going to be back next year. But do you think a lot of people are going to be, excited to go right off the bat? No, they're not going to be excited. They're going to be like, we ain't doing this. Nope. People have not BronyCon, but BabsCon in Burlingame, San Francisco, could say, hey, we got everything set up for you guys. Everything's ready to go. We met all the protocols. We got sanitizing stations. We got this. We got that. But yeah, people will be like, nah, I don't want to go. And if they would ask why, and they said, well, yeah. And if somebody was to ask them, well, why? You were looking forward to this. They could be like, yeah, I was looking forward to it. But, they could say they have everything ready, but there could be one mistake. One person could have that virus. And I could be like, oh, I'm affected. Well, I don't mean to say that offensively or anything, guys. Don't mean to say that offensively. But they could be like, oh, my God, I could get affected. I don't want to take that chance. And they would have a right to feel that way. And again, no offense with me doing that, but you get the idea. But you understand what I'm saying. That people will still be reluctant to go anywhere that's going to have a lot of people. And theaters, cinemas could be one of them. Or could be one of those places that they're reluctant to go to even a year later. So I could see Paramount possibly making the decision, along with Hasbro, to take the 2021 movie and put it on VOD. I could. Hopefully it won't happen. But I could see it happening. I really could. Okay, so next up, let's go to our 7th topic. And our 7th topic is more on the Rally for Sally and how much further it's gotten. Well, I'll put it this way, it's gotten better, it's gotten stronger. More support has come out for it. From an artistic standpoint, to people doing live, marathons of the Sonic Forces Speed Battle Racing or Team Sonic Racing, it's gotten more momentum. I'll put it that way. And I think the more momentum this character here gets by from the fans, new and old, I think the better the chances she's going to have of appearing in other media. Like I said before, with Evan Stanley taking over as the head writer of the book, of the IDW book, I could see Sally probably showing up more so than she has, previously. I could see her showing up. Now, you might say that's not possible. It's not going to happen. And you might be right. But I think Evan is going to probably go out and say, hey, these fans want Sally. I'm going to give them Sally. I'll put her in the IDW book. So I could see potentially around next year, in time for the 30th anniversary, I could see Sally showing up. Ian could come out and say, he doesn't want to use the characters, but if they're owned by Sega, then there shouldn't be no problem. Even if they appear, make their debut in one issue, and then come back in a few issues later or several issues later, so be it. At least we know they would be in the same universe. But who knows? But getting back to the hashtag Rally for Sally, it's gaining momentum. I'll put it that way. It's gaining momentum. Every time there's a live stream from the Sonic team people, here in America, they're acknowledging it. They're talking about it. They're saying, hey, we hear you. We're trying to work on something for it. So, yeah, Rally for Sally is, definitely gaining momentum. And again, I think, as I've mentioned before, I think the best opportunity that she's going to have of any recognition out of this, coming from this, I should say, will be the comic, the IDW comic. Game wise, yeah, that's still a possibility. Hopefully, we'll get something. Maybe we'll get something with the December 2nd announcement of for Sonic. I could see that. I could potentially see that. Like I say, I could potentially see that, and it would be great. It would be great. So again, it would be great to see that happen. Or at least to hear something out of the out of that announcement when it comes to possible game or whatever. But I think the best opportunity we got for any recognition, like I said, is maybe a debut, an actual debut in the IDW comic. And like I said, she and any other character from Sat AM, Freedom Fighters, Archie Comics, if they debut as well, they don't have to be the focal point. They could just show up in an issue and then show up in several issues later. So I could see that. I could see that happening. So in my opinion, I think we're looking at probably in my opinion, what I'm trying to get at is I think we're looking at Sally showing up in the IDW comic as possibly the first impactful move or result of this hashtag Rally for Sally. I really do. So yeah, again, it is definitely gaining momentum. It's got people talking. It's got people uploading and contributing artwork. Sally interacting with Tangle and Whisper, and Sally, being and what they would consider her IDW style. So it's she's gaining that momentum, day after day. So anyway, yeah. Again, it's just continue, but like I said, it continues to grow, and hopefully, like I said, something will come of it, and I think something will, and I think what will come of it will be her debut in the IDW comics. I really do. Okay, last but not least, is our eighth and final topic: more talk on Disney's new media strategy. Now, I recently did a video as a reply to Zara Nizarak of the Multimedia Chronicles. And I told Sean basically, and I kind of gave my opinion as to why Disney has yet to basically, why Disney has yet to basically, finish up a lot of series that they put onto DVD. Like some of the Disney afternoon shows like Gummy Bears and Rescue Rangers, Goof Troop, why they haven't finished it yet. And the same goes for any other studios, like even Warner Brothers. And the reason being is because their main focus is streaming. That's the main focus. And Disney's new media strategy, as reported, and I talked about this in the video, is primarily going to be focused on streaming, but streaming's not going to take them away from all the other avenues of revenue they can get their hands on. It's not going to take them away from the parks. It's not going to take them away from physical media revenue. It's not going to take them away from cinema / theatrical revenue. Basically, streaming is going to be like that main platform that they're going to utilize, that they're going to use as their game board, as their foundation to see, what potentially is a streaming movie or series, or in this case, movie, and what potentially is theatrical or whatever. So that's mainly what it is. So if a movie, like let's say earlier this year, Onward, is not the kind of movie that they would hope it could be, then they could say, you know what, Onward has potential to make money, but you know what, I'm not feeling it. Let's just put it on Disney Plus and say it's a Disney Plus original. And there you go. The same with, like earlier, like about a month ago or so, they debuted the Phineas and Ferb Candace versus the Universe movie. Let's take that for example. They could have said, hey, here's a movie, even if it's a limited run in theaters, we could put in theaters. They could be like, yeah, that's good, true, but even with a limited run, it won't make money. So on to streaming you go. And on to streaming you go. And later on to home video you go. And that's it. That's what they would do. And I know some people don't like hearing that, but it's true. They would that's what they're doing. That's their main strategy, from what I can understand. They have the different divisions, but the main focus is streaming, and streaming is going to be used as that plateau to where they're going to decide what's going to be a streaming exclusive and original and what could be otherwise, especially when it comes to movies. Series wise, they could also use it as a platform to see, okay, what live action or animated series potentially could be, Disney Channel, Disney XD bound, and what could be just Disney Plus bound. And, they could go in that direction. And the same, and again, going back to movies, it's similar in some veins. For example, if they wanted to, they could say, you know what, Black Widow is going to make us a lot of money, but I don't know if people will be too excited to see it after waiting for so long. So you know what? On to Disney Plus it goes. They could do that, but they won't because they still want to make that big box office money with it. But they could say, yeah, and that's it. And that's not a lie. That is not a lie whatsoever. They could make that decision. And, I understand, some people be like, some people be like, well, they have to realize, what I'm trying to say is, there'll be some people that'll be like, well, they have to realize that they can't do that with all the movies. You'd be wrong about that because they could. You could be wrong about that because they could. Because here's the thing. They had a Christmas movie released last year to tie in with the debut of the service. Now, this Christmas movie could have been a theatrical film, and it could have made some money. But it didn't. It didn't make no money. It didn't make no money whatsoever. And basically, they put it as part of it, and they basically made it a Disney Plus original movie, is what they did. It could have made them some money, but it didn't. That's what I'm trying to get at. It didn't make them money. Or it could have made them money, but they decided that it wasn't going to make them money. That's what I was trying to say. They decided it wasn't going to make them money. Or they felt like it didn't make them money, even if it. What I'm trying to say, I'm trying to link this to some people so they can watch this live stream right now or later. But basically, Disney decided that it wasn't going to make them money, so they just decided to plop it onto Disney Plus. So again, when you look at Disney's new media strategy, it's nothing new. Well, not it's nothing new, but when you look at it, when you look at the new media strategy, honestly, it's nothing new when it comes to any kind of strategy that's similar to it. But for Disney, it's definitely, it's definitely somewhat of a changing of the guard because, like I said, they're not going away. For anybody that's worried, they're not going away from theaters, from theatrical releases, or the parks or whatever, the physical DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, Ultra Blu-ray releases. They're not doing that. Instead, what they're doing is they're going to use the Disney Plus streaming, and the partnerships with Hulu and ESPN Plus to kind of figure what is, potential for theatrical, Disney XD, Disney Channel, maybe home video, basically being the first dibs, and what's suitable for streaming, and then maybe later on to be put on, and then later on released for Disney Channel, Disney XD, and video. That's what they're using the streaming platform for. It's the foundation. It's the plateau. That's why that's why a lot of people, what I'm trying to say is this is why Disney is making the decisions they're making, like putting Pixar's Soul on Christmas Day, because they could easily wait till the next year to put it in theaters, but they're not going to, because they feel that people are going to not want to see it, and then it might get lost in the shuffle with all these bigger blockbusters that are going to finally be allowed to be released by the very studios that had to delay them. So they basically said, look, it's not going to make us money as much as we want it to if we keep it, if we delay it, until next year to be in the theaters. So why not just put it out now? This is that right there is basically an example of what the strategy is going to be, in my opinion. And here's the thing: other studios follow suit in a similar way. Sean Zaranizrak, he gave Warner Brothers credit by saying, no, Warner Archive at least is a place where a lot of physical media releases of animated and live action shows can be purchased from, because retail wise they may not make a lot of money. But here's the thing: the reason Warner Brothers hasn't been in a hurry to do it as much, with the announcements recently of the Jetsons and the Josie and the Pussycats and all that coming to Blu-ray, the reason they haven't been in a hurry, if you will, is because their main focus has been things like HBO Max and the DC Universe app. That's what it's been. That's been their main focus. That's why you're hearing more about releases going there than you're hearing about physical releases coming soon to the Warner archives. So that's the main priority. Just like Disney Plus is becoming Disney's main priority and focus for any future projects to be released streaming wise exclusively or otherwise, or in other areas like theaters, home video, whatever. The same with Warner Brothers. They're using HBO Max and not Disney, but DC Universe as their plateaus, their foundations for potential new material, and that's what potentially new material to be showcased. And this is why they're not in any hurry, in my opinion, to make a lot of announcements of stuff being released on physical media through the Warner Archive store. Same with Universal. I mean, they just announced that Jetsons the movie is finally officially here in the States, that is, not internationally because it's already there, but here in the States it's finally coming out to Blu-ray. But the thing is, Universal could have made this decision a long time ago, but their main focus has been the Peacock network. Get what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to get at is basically, when you look at all of these, and then you look at what Disney's doing with their new media strategy, it's pretty much all the same down the middle. And it's all pretty much the same. It's a little different in certain areas, but it's pretty much the same. Everybody from Disney to Warner to Universal and others out there are using the streaming platforms as their plateaus, as their canvases to create art, as well as make the decisions of what directions they want to go in with certain projects. It's their canvas, it's their blueprints, so that, and their main, and because it's their canvas, it's their blueprints and everything to create from, they're putting a lot of priority into that. And that's why Disney's decided to go in the direction they're doing. So hopefully that explains why, as I mentioned in another video, why we haven't seen them focusing on completing animated or live action series fully on physical media, like they should in the eyes of many people. But anyway, though, guys, that's going to be about do it for today's live TGIF topics on my mind. The first under my new monetization error. Hopefully, the monetization stays and nothing goes wrong. And it's also the first under the super chat realm as well. So that's about it. So thank you all for joining me, guys. Looks like some of you did join me a little late. But thank you, Valentino and Friendship Magic C franchise. Thank you all. Oh, no, it is Valentino, but thank you all for joining me. But again, this is we're pretty much at the end here of the first, like I said, first live topics on my mind under my monetized error for my channel, my main channel, as well as the first under the super chats as well. So thank you all for joining me for that. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. Let me know what you all think down below. If you want to give me a super chat down the line, go ahead. I would really appreciate it during the next live stream. And that's really about it, guys. So that's all I could say. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for tuning in and watching, even if you didn't comment or super chatted. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. And thank you all to those watching afterwards as well. And you could also find me at other places as well. You could find me at BW Rose's Discussions at Anchor.fm. You could also find the BW Rose's Discussions podcast at Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player.fm, Radio Public, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast. As well as you could also check me out at my Brian's Discussions channel. Help me to get to 1,000 subscribers there so I can try to maybe monetize that channel as well. And that's about it, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. I am out. And I'm going to add an ad. So peace out, guys. I'm out of here. Have a good Friday evening.